loss in game 1. So yeah, guys, that's the dream. That every time we get tank dropped or a Terran does something kind of a little bit cheesy or a little bit weird to us, that's what happens. But that game was pretty clear cut. And what I liked about this series so much, though, is that Taeja took the risk of going for the build. As much as I love, as much as I criticize him for his building placement there, I love that he's going for these builds, which are very un-Taeja-like, very un-Taeja-esque. And I think it would have been fantastic. I think Life's the sort of greedy player who doesn't just blindly prepare for that sort of timing. I think if he didn't spot it coming, if he didn't spot the factory, I think he just kind of gets completely owned by it. The tank starts sieging his natural. He starts taking damage immediately. He's kind of like panicking. He's not prepared to do the baneling timing as well because he didn't know what was happening early on. And things get really, really messy for him. But anyway, guys, it is 2-1 for Life in this series. We are looking at game number 4 now. If you guys have any questions, do shout them out in chat. I'll probably be answering as many questions as possible right after we finish looking at this set before we go into the viewer replays. But for now, thank you everyone who is hanging out with me. Thank you everyone who is kind of tuned in and chilling with us. Big shout outs to those donators and subs as well. Thanks a lot, guys. So, we are looking at Overgrowth. Let's take a look at this game. We are going to see Life going out with that early drone scout, and he is going to be going for the Sneaky Hatchery. I don't know if you guys remember this game, but it was pretty cool. Taeja, on the other hand, we know how Taeja wants to play this series. He wants to play command center first, no barracks down. He loves his CC first. Life knows this, and we saw Life going for this build in game 2, trying to anticipate it, and once again in game 4, going for it again. Taeja going for the CC first. Now, normally you'd say this is absolutely atrocious against what Life is doing, and it's almost a build order counter. I'm sure many players would say that who have practiced this build. I'm not an expert with this build, but I've seen enough of it to know how it plays out, and I know this is a pretty bad situation for Terran. Now, what is the kind of saving grace for Taeja is that this is a relatively narrow entrance, as is that, so he can wall this off with not too many structures. Whereas earlier when we saw it on Sejong Station, there was a huge entrance there. To see the follow-up here for Life, it is just a pool and a gas, following up the hatchery. Taeja, SCV, just barely missed the hatchery, or missed it by quite a bit actually. And he's going with this SCV scout, just doing his standard barracks, gas, very typical opening here, really quite safe. I mean, Life almost never 9 pulls against Terran anymore, so CC on the low ground is quite fun. And immediately upon seeing no hatchery, he knows what's going on. He goes, whoa, okay. And, well, he knows something's up. And when he sees the spawning pool just finishing at the same time as a hatch first timing, 3:45, he knows something's going on. So immediately he sends an SCV down here and builds a bunker. He just says, I will hold this natural. And this is one of the ballsiest reactions I've ever seen. I'm not sure if Life has ever even seen this reaction. He moves forward to that SCV, sees this, Life, building 6 lings. So 4 here, 2 from the main base. He's running lings across the map. And he's just going to try and get in here and overwhelm this. Now those Zerglings pause there for just a moment. But the bunkers are getting close to finished. He needs to focus down this Marine. That pause, potentially costing him. Also, this Zergling going and getting denied. Taeja with a beautiful start, shutting down the first couple of Zerglings, getting the second bunker started, already dropping double mules and starting a factory. So Taeja just so far looking very good, but realistically, what are you going to do? Just keep building bunkers? You've got a spine crawler, a queen, and Life going for a very cool follow-up here. Spreading creep with the queen and the spine, but not going just for the full contain style. He's saying, whoa, wait a second, you're trying to hold on to this. I'm going to keep mining gas, drop a baneling nest, and not even get Zergling speed. We're looking at a slowling Bane bust combined with the spine and the queen. Now, the idea behind this is the Terran can't really scout what's going on. He just knows there's spine, queen, and some slow Zerglings. So most of the time, they're going to rush towards a siege tank, and that's what we see Taeja doing here. So Life says, you know what, I can get in there before that siege tank's out. This spine crawler is going to start dealing damage, but I'm going to bust this with lings and banelings. And this is actually a brilliant move, and you know what, I think it should have worked. We're going to see how it goes just here. I think this really should break this situation. Taeja clumping his bunkers a lot, actually a little bit risky. Doing a nice wall off on the left-hand side, and here we see Life coming in. Now with your banelings, you can't detonate here because you'll only have 1 bunker, and it takes 5. Yeah, it does take 5. Wait, 4. No, yeah, it takes 5 banelings to kill a bunker. Just checking. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's 5. So basically, you've only got 8 banelings. You can kill one bunker and almost kill another. Or, if you hit right here, you can hit at least 2, probably the third one. So you want to move these banelings here, and then click on that one. Or, at least move there and click on that one, so you detonate right there. That way you can hit multiple bunkers. But we see here, he misclicks with those banelings, accidentally blows up just one bunker, and he's got so many zerglings here. But look at this, it's doing so much damage. The Marines, oh, accidental bad evacuation by Taeja there. The SCV's kind of blocking the Marines from moving over. But guess what this has bought time for? This siege tank is now out. Taeja, because these lings haven't broken that fast enough, and this depot's up. Imagine if that got crushed a little bit faster, Life might have got up this ramp. Certainly would have had a few more zerglings left over, done a little bit more damage potentially. And this is just going from weird to worse for Life. So I think definitely one of the big issues this game is that Taeja has giant balls. And basically said, I can hold this low ground, which most Terrans would just evacuate immediately upon scouting it. If his bunker was even just a few seconds later, those 2 zerglings would have killed the first Marine. And from there, Taeja's life would have been a nightmare. Taeja's life. Ah, pun! So yeah, guys, we are basically looking at a situation now where Life is deep down the shitter, because Taeja knows, wait a second, you've skipped link speed. I don't even need to be afraid. His tanks just fearlessly move forward here, and he doesn't even lift the command center, because he knows if he lifts it, he can't land it because there's creep on it. You guys should start seeing, we should start seeing creep kind of grow up on that building in just a second. But basically, we are going to see Taeja just kind of go, lol, held it, kills the queen, clears the creep back a little bit, and Life is like, wow, I am deep in shit city. He's starting his hatchery, he's got 19 drones, but I mean, you're looking at a 2-base landed economy of the Terran. He has 34 SCVs, he has a factory finished building tanks, he has a starport finished. He's got Hellions on the way, like he's just in such a good position right here. And you know, these lings try to come in and get some damage done. They don't kill anything, they just damage a few SCVs in a tank. And at this point, what are you going to do as the Zerg player? I mean, you're meant to be up about 15-20 supply at this point, you're down 15 to 20 supply. From here, it's a little bit one-sided. Not much we can learn from Life's play here. Life kind of goes on autopilot a bit, says, hey, maybe I did enough damage. Let's just take a third, we'll chill. And this is pretty much what you've got to do. But in my opinion, what Life should have done to try and stage a comeback is, knowing that he's so far behind, skip on any idea of tech. Basically say to yourself, Zerglings and Banelings are the only way I'm going to defend and win this game. Maybe I'll get a lair for Baneling speed, but other than that, I only need 2 gases, maybe 3 mining. I just need to saturate 3 bases on minerals and try to overwhelm the first push with Ling Bane. If I can crush one army, then I've got a chance. Then I've got a small chance, but it's a chance. Unfortunately, excuse me, I'm kind of burping like crazy right now. Unfortunately for Life, he kind of doesn't realize quite how far behind he is. He's like, well, I did some stuff. And he doesn't really adapt his play. He just drops the second gas at the standard saturation point where he would, drops this double evo chamber, tries to drone up his third, builds some extra queens for defense and creep. This is a situation where it's okay now. Like, it's okay, you do need upgrades, that's for sure. But we are going to see him make a crucial mistake in the next minute or two when we see him drop his gases. We see, okay, droning the third very quickly, that's very nice. But you've got to know you're in a hard situation here. And that's why I do have to criticize his macro follow-up. I think he started to feel a bit too much like, hey, this is kind of a normal game. But he's being forced to drop a Spore Crawler at the third. He's still droning. He's only just caught up in workers. Terran is already up 25 army supply. Dropping all these extra gases and going for the triple Spore Crawler and the extra queens. These aren't the things which are going to stop a bunch of Marines pushing down your front door. They're not going to stop a bunch of Hellbats batting down the front door. So Life at this point is just looking in such a hard spot. I do like that he delayed the gas on the third. That was definitely something he needed to do, but I think he needed to do it for a bit longer. When you're in a situation like this, though, often you can get a little bit irrational. You can be a bit like, well, it's lose-lose. Let's just try and play standard. but you really need to adjust your economy in order to maximize your chances of coming back. And I actually call that stimming your economy, and we see Life did it a little bit. He did like a half stim or a quarter stim by delaying the gases on the third, but you need to stim your economy a lot more than this. What I mean by stim is a stim pack is something which sacrifices something, your HP, to give you something else, which is temporary attack and speed, right? In this case, you're sacrificing your temporary tech in order to get a big-ass fucking army of stuff that can stop this sort of army. And if Life could crush this army, then maybe he has a fighting chance. Maybe with some nice counterattacks he gets in there. As it is, Taeja didn't even bring his siege tanks, and this army is just looking absolutely frightening. Those banelings just getting roasted. These Hellbats, they doesn't afraid of anything. They does not care. And Life comes in with his one final push, which just cannot do anything. Yeah, there's no good choice with that army. And Life does get crushed a little bit. The Spire, the Overlord speed, the extra Queens and Squawk Rollers, all maybe a little bit unnecessary this game. And Taeja does crush him after that beautiful hold of that proxy hatchery.